Today's news. China places fourth time a block on Masood Azhar issue. That means you all know the recent Pulwama attack is done by Jaish-e-Mohammed. The leader of Jaish-e-Mohammed is Masood Azhar. India is requesting UN Security Council many times to declare Masood Azhar as international terrorist. UN Security Council 3 times had a resolution for declaring Masood Azhar as international terrorist, and this is the 4th time. All the times that China is blocking. As you all know, China and Pakistan are friends. And you all know Pakistan sponsors terrorism against India. It's called state sponsor terrorism. Pakistan sponsors terrorism against India. NASA announced that first person to go on Mars might be woman. First person to go on Mars might be woman. Most important thing for films today is global environmental outlook. GEO, global environmental outlook. The GEO is released by UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program. GEO, Global Environmental Outlook, is released by UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program, and UNEP releases it in Nairobi. Nairobi is the headquarters of UNEP. Here you should remember a point. UNEP is formed during Stockholm Summit, which was held in the year 1972. Stockholm Summit 1972. On June 5th, 1972, the first ever international summit on environment. On June 5th, 1972, the first ever international summit on environment was held. This is called Stockholm Summit. So in that Stockholm Summit, they have decided to establish a program called UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program. UNEP publishes Global Environmental Outlook, and UNEP told there are many deaths in India because of health impacts because of environmental pollution. India could save at least $3 trillion if India would have saved its people from environmental effects. At least environment safety would have ended with increasing of $3 trillion. And next important news is many scholars and activists are proposing the name of Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg. Who is Greta Thunberg? Greta Thunberg, Thunberg, is a school-going girl in Sweden who started campaign towards environmental protection for Nobel Peace Prize. Many activists are asking to give Nobel Peace Prize to Greta Thunberg, Thunberg. And next, coming to today's editorial in Hindu paper, if you see today's editorial, heavy-handed order. The Meghalaya High Court have issued contempt of court punishment to the editor of Shillong Times, a newspaper in Meghalaya, to the editor of Shillong Times. As you all know, Article 129 and Article 215. 129 for the Supreme Court, 215 for the High Court, we have contempt powers. 129 for the Supreme Court, 215 for the High Court, we have contempt powers. And contempt of court is of two types: civil contempt, criminal contempt. If court gives order, if you don't follow, it comes under contempt. Civil contempt, if you scandalize court, if you do something like hurling the shoe on the judge, or writing some scandalous material on the judgment, these things comes under criminal contempt. In India, we have an act also for contempt of court. Contempt of Court Act 1971. Contempt of Court Act 1971. Here, the editorial said it was high-handed order. What is the order? Asking the editor sit in the corner and also asking him to pay 2 lakh rupees fine. If you cannot pay 2 lakh rupees fine, we will order stopping the publication of your newspaper. This is something attacking on his fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression 19(1)(a). So there are various things which you have to consider here. In America, this is not a serious case. In USA, court do not have such extreme contempt powers. Court also is open to criticism. See, contempt of court as such is not bad, because we have to respect judicial orders. At the same time, high-handedness in the name of contempt is not that right. High-handedness, using high-handedness and using contempt powers always to cull the people is not that correct. This was heavy-handed order in the Hindu. Next article, down but definitely not out. Down but definitely not out. Yesterday we have discussed that about IS, Islamic State, and we have discussed that there is a small place called Baghouse where IS was defeated by Syrian Democratic Forces. All these things we have discussed. Here you should understand a point. Yesterday while discussing that we have discussed, it made rebounds again, right? It was down but was not completely out. In this article, the author spoke about Raqqa in Syria, Mosul in Iraq. See, the places in news is very important for civils exam. Raqqa in Syria, Mosul in Iraq. Generally in civils exam, prelims paper, in Middle East countries and some countries places, and they ask which city is in which country. Mosul is in Iraq, Raqqa is in Syria. So, in these two places are occupied by earlier by IS. Now they were released already. And one more thing, in this article they have given a story of Shamima Begum. They have given a story of Shamima Begum. Shamima Begum is a UK citizen. In her adulthood, along with her friends, she went and joined IS. Now Shamima Begum was married to an IS boy, and she got a child, and I think later child died something. And Shamima Begum wanted to go back to Britain, but her citizenship is already cancelled. And Britain told it won't allow Shamima Begum to Britain again as a citizen. So this is the issue. Shamima Begum's case. Okay, who is Shamima Begum? Shamima Begum is a British citizen. In her around when she was 18 or 19, she flew to IS to join in the IS. Next, in slow mode. See, this article says the Indian economy index of industrial production, manufacturing and other arenas are very slow. We cannot see the good growth rates in that. So, in order to increase the economy, we need to pump money in the market. In order to increase the economic production, we need to pump money in the market. How we need to pump? If more money is with the banks, less money is in the hands of the people, people cannot spend money. So, rate cuts. Rate cut means bank interest rate cuts says there will be less money in the banks, more money in the market. so that there will be impetus to the economy. That is the meaning of the article. Manufacturing inflation data give monetary policy makers room for an interest rate cut. Manufacturing inflation data give monetary policy makers room for an interest rate cut. That means interest rate cut is important now. That was the meaning. Next article is the need for constitutional courage. The need for constitutional courage. See the word constitutional courage. The other says, see, Ayodhya issue, a panel was appointed to settle down. But the other says, it's not about religious beliefs or religious issue, it is about title for the land. Who owns the land, who holds the land. So don't consider it as a religious issue, but it is the issue of title. It is the issue of title of the land. Next article, a model policy for women in police. A model policy for women in police. In the Indian Constitution, you have 3 lists: union list, state list, concurrent list. Police will be in the state list. Police will be in the state list. And according to the other, the women force in police is just 7%. Just 7%. Some states in India are giving 30% reservation for women in police jobs. But today in policing, even today, we have patriarchal mindset. We think that men are more apt for police jobs, and in fact women are not given operational jobs in policing, and even that women were given reservations in the lower levels but not in the higher levels in the policing. In most of the states you will be finding even the posts which are reserved for women in policing are not filled properly. Even family, society, they don't want to see women in policing jobs, and that means women need some extra masculine nature if she has to be in police job. So that is the thing. And most importantly, we need to have prevention of sexual harassment and other internal panel committees with respect to women in police, so that they can do their job freely. Apart from that, what we need is higher ranks. In the higher ranks, we need women police. And why don't we create special women battalions for important issues? Like as you have she teams here, we need to create some better women battalions so that we can encourage women in police. Women should not be confined to desk jobs. They should not be confined to desk jobs. What we need is a model policy for women in police. A model policy for women in police. So workplace harassment, sexual harassment in workplace, all these things should also apply to women. This is the meaning of the article. A model policy for women in police. See, already in army there was short service commission, and women are now allowed to permanent commissioning also. Why don't in police? India's grand strategy on Pakistan. India's grand strategy on Pakistan. It is nothing but counter terrorism. How India has to deal with Pakistan. See, India is patient, there is no doubt. Pakistan is sponsoring terrorism, also ending in proxy war. Proxy war means, see, I don't directly go for war, I will send somebody to do war against you. War through proxies, not directly two parties involved, they war through proxies. And what we need is India has to take a tough stand, use all its sources including intelligence and strategies to counter Pakistan in the war against terrorism. This is very important. So done. These are the important current affairs.